Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Hers makes it simpler to get started and stick with a weight loss plan, backed by expert-guided online care that puts your weight loss goals first. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Welcome back, curious souls, to the Strange History Podcast, where the past is never really dead, and history is often a lot weirder than your high school textbooks led you to believe. I'm your host, Amy, and today we're stepping through the veil and into one of the most haunted plots of land in America. Tucked in the shadowy heart of Salem, Massachusetts, a town forever etched in the American psyche for witch trials, paranoia, and puritanical mayhem, sits a cemetery so old, so drenched in sorrow and superstition that even the gravestones seem to whisper after dark. This, dear listeners, is the story of the old Burying Point Cemetery, also known as the Charter Street Cemetery. And believe me, the dead here, they don't rest easy. So grab a lantern, avoid stepping on any cursed graves, and whatever you do, don't follow that shadowy figure between the headstones. Let's get into it.
A cemetery older than America.
Let's rewind the clock. The year is 1637, only 17 years after the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. The colonies are still raw, brutal, and teetering on the edge of survival. That's when Old Burying Point was established. That makes it one of the oldest cemeteries in the United States, older than the country itself. Located on Charter Street in downtown Salem, the cemetery is tightly packed, surrounded by old brick buildings and cobblestone streets. It doesn't stretch far, yet it holds almost 400 years of death, history, and mystery. And here's a wild twist. Despite Salem's infamous witch trials in 1692, not a single witch was buried here. You see, those convicted of witchcraft weren't given proper burials. They were hanged, sometimes left in shallow graves, or buried in unmarked spots by their families under the cover of night. So why, you might ask, is Old Burying Point so haunted? Well, buckle in.
The dead who won't stay dead.
One of the most infamous spirits said to haunt the cemetery isn't a witch at all, but rather a man responsible for killing them. Enter Judge John Hathorne, the so-called hanging judge of the Salem witch trials. He wasn't just a judge, he was the only magistrate from the trials who never repented or expressed remorse for his role in the deaths of 19 people and the torture of many more. He's buried right here, beneath a weathered headstone near the center of the cemetery. People leave coins, crosses, and even notes, pleading with him to apologize from beyond the grave. Unsurprisingly, he hasn't responded. But his ghost allegedly has. Numerous visitors report seeing a tall man in colonial garb wandering near his grave. He vanishes when approached. Others feel an intense cold or an overwhelming sense of dread. One woman swears she heard a man whisper in her ear, "They were guilty." But no one was there, except the ghost of a man who still thinks he was right. Oh, and fun fact, John Hathorne's great-great-grandson was none other than Nathaniel Hawthorne, the author of The Scarlet Letter. He added a W to the family name out of shame. Can't blame him.
The Lady in White, because of course there's one.
Now, what would a haunted cemetery be without your classic Lady in White? This ghostly figure has been spotted floating between the gravestones, her face obscured by a lace veil wearing what appears to be a wedding dress or morning gown, depending on who you ask. Tour guides say she's most active on foggy nights, especially around the grave of Captain Richard Moore, one of the Mayflower Pilgrims. Some believe she's a grieving widow. Others think she was wrongly accused during the witch trials and is searching for the remains of a loved one never properly buried. One terrified tourist from Chicago claimed she saw the woman gliding toward her. Her feet didn't touch the ground, she said, and when she tried to snap a photo, her phone died. When it restarted, the photo app was open, but the image was pitch black. No woman, just static.
Gravestone whispers and phantom hands.
Old Burying Point is full of stories like these. People report hearing whispers coming from the gravestones, especially near the older ones, carved with eerie winged skulls and grinning death's heads. Some claim to feel phantom hands brushing their backs or tugging at jackets. One man said he was standing near the entrance when he felt someone tap him on the shoulder. He turned. No one. He turned again, and this time there was a face, right in his face. He described it as hollow-eyed, with skin like wax. It vanished instantly. He left in a dead sprint, probably faster than any tour guide has ever moved.
The Giles Corey curse, and why you should take him seriously.
Now, technically, Giles Corey wasn't buried in Old Burying Point either, but he's definitely haunting the area. Corey was pressed to death during the Salem witch trials. Yes, you heard me right. Pressed. As in, they put a wooden board on him and stacked stones on top, trying to force a confession. It took him 3 days to die. His last words? More weight. Legend says that just before his death, Corey cursed the town of Salem, and specifically the sheriff. Since then, every sheriff of Essex County has reported some strange illness or misfortune, some even stepping down from office. One suffered a mysterious heart attack, another claimed to be plagued by paranormal activity in his home until he left office. Corey's ghost has reportedly been spotted wandering through the cemetery or nearby Howard Street, where he died. Locals say his appearance is an omen of disaster, especially before major tragedies, like the Great Salem Fire of 1914. So, yeah, maybe take curses seriously, especially if the guy was crushed to death and never got justice.
More haunts and the ghost tour effect.
Over the years, the cemetery has become a hotbed for ghost tours, amateur ghost hunters, and even a few rogue occultists trying to communicate with the dead. Some say this has only stirred things up. One guide claims that after leading a tour group through the graveyard and telling the story of Bridget Bishop, Salem's first witch trial victim, he returned home to find claw marks on his bedroom mirror and a small pile of dirt on his pillow. No explanation, no break-in, just dirt. You don't want grave dirt showing up in your bed, folks. Another story tells of a group using a spirit box during a late-night ghost hunt. When they asked, "Is anyone here with us?" the box crackled and clearly said, "Get out." Needless to say, they listened.
The strange history beneath our feet.
Beyond the hauntings, Old Burying Point is a snapshot of early American history, filled with cryptic epitaphs, outdated spellings, and imagery that will send shivers down your spine. The cemetery holds soldiers from the Revolutionary War, ship captains, merchants, and politicians. But it also holds the collective trauma of a town that accused its own neighbors of devilry, then tried to move on without ever really facing the consequences. In a way, Old Burying Point isn't just haunted by ghosts, it's haunted by guilt, fear, and injustice. And maybe that's what keeps the dead from resting. So the next time you find yourself in Salem, don't just stop for the witch museums and black cat souvenirs. Take a quiet walk through Old Burying Point, just maybe not alone, especially after dark. You might hear a whisper or feel a chill, or maybe, just maybe, you'll catch a glimpse of the past, reaching out to remind you it's not done with us yet. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadowy corners of Salem. Be sure to like and share the Strange History podcast with your fellow ghost hunting friends. And if you've ever had an eerie encounter of your own, I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, I'm Amy, reminding you that history may be written by the living. But the dead? They have stories too. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, rate and review. We appreciate it when you do that.